Hello, welcome to the first episode of Chasing Butterflies. I'm Tracy Seaberger Claus. This is my friend Amanda Matranga.
Hello.
Here we go.
Cheers. Let's do this.
Whew. So, Chasing Butterflies is our YouTube channel, and we are going to start this off with a podcast on grief, and it's going to be called This Club Sucks. So, answer question or question me away.
I'm going to ask some questions and then just to kind of like talk about it because I think we've both experienced grief over our lives, but in different ways. But you're one of the only people I know who experience grief at a very young age, and then several times you've lost people, throughout the time that I've known you, more than anyone I know. And so I really want to kind of start with that. How old were you the first time?
So, I'll start out by saying I was, raised here in Houston. My mom and dad, and I have 6 siblings. And by the time I was 9 years old, my dad died of a heart attack. And so that was tough, and I really didn't know how to navigate those waters. But then a year and a half later, my brother, who was 17, was killed in a car accident.
See, unbelievable. So close.
So it was, I'm not an expert on it, but I feel like I've had, unfortunately, a lot of experience.
So you were 9 and then you were 11?
10 and a half.
10 and a half, 11?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like my dad died in February of 74 and my brother died in July of 76. And so that was tough. And, with my mom going back to work and my siblings were doing their thing, I was lost. I didn't feel like I had anybody to talk to. I didn't want to put that on my mom. She was grieving. She was going through her own, it was, a lot. And then my siblings, my sister was trying to hold down the fort. My brother's, doing their thing. And then my little sister, she would have been too young to lean on. So that is where it started. And then several years later, in 2001, my niece at 18 was killed in a car accident. Not far from there, my brother lost a almost full-term baby, him and his wife. And then I lost my son, Chase, in 2007 from a car accident. And then again, I have a niece that passed away from a stroke, from a disease. Or it wasn't a disease.
So what is that, 5? That's 5?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7.
3 nieces, my son, my brother, and my dad. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And, in between I've lost other people, but
family.
Yeah, and like maybe they were older, and when they're older, it's almost understandable.
Right,
You're like, they
right.
lived a great life,
Exactly.
Whereas these 7 I'm talking about were way too young,
And all of them were shocking. Like they weren't
very shocking.
Yeah,
Nothing.
Very surprised.
Yeah,
right?
no like long-term illness or anything. It was just like, your life is
Yeah.
just in
Heartbreaking.
it's turmoil, and the reason I wanted to do this is because I'm hoping that if I could just help a couple of people or, somebody,
Right.
it would be all worth it. I have several friends that have lost children, spouses, and I just want this to be kind of a platform where people could come and listen to how we navigated the experience. Some of it
Right.
good, some of it's a little embarrassing. But it is how we did it. And, I'll be honest, struggling with the loss of Chase, my son, was definitely changed me.
Definitely.
They all changed me, but, forever changed, and I'll never be the same person.
The hardest hit.
But
yeah.
I want to show people that you can get to that side of being happy, and, man, if you have faith, it makes it
yeah.
a lot better, because I do depend on God for everything. And I just don't think I would be here, honestly.
Right.
Because the first 5 years after Chase passed away, I was like, I questioned whether I was going to be here because I was like, it would be just easier if I wasn't.
Well, and you had Chase at, how old were you when you had
20.
him? 20.
Yeah.
And y'all were like, but I mean, I remember y'all were like.
we grew up together.
Right, right.
To be honest.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, he was like your little friend. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just I want to give somebody hope. And, if I can do that, that would make me feel good. And that's kind of why we wanted to start this. They may not all be about grief. They might be on other subjects.
Right.
But for right now, this is what we're tackling because I feel like I have so many people that want to just talk, and it's cathartic just to talk it out and
Absolutely.
tell
Get the
each other
words out.
tell each
Yeah.
other's experience and how you may help somebody else, like how you dealt with it or how you
Right.
maybe you could do better.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So you go through it, you find out about Chase, you're in it.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Well, you want me to start the story?
Absolutely.
So in 2007, on December 17th, he left work. He was working at a restaurant and went out with some friends. It was the Christmas holidays, obviously. And he left a bar. And I know for a fact he didn't eat a lot. So I feel almost 1,000% positive that he drank on an empty stomach.
Right.
Which, we have preached to our kids their whole life.
Right.
Don't do that. Don't drink and drive, whatever. But anyway, and he possibly was texting, wasn't wearing a seatbelt, and wasn't coming home. I don't know where he was going that night, but he wasn't on his way home. And it was about right after the bar would close, about 2 a.m, and he clipped another car. He rolled, it was thrown from the car, and as we found out later, when it's probably 3 a.m, somebody called and somebody came to our house and told us what had happened and that he had been life flighted to Herman. So we jump out of bed, called my in-laws to come and take care of the younger two, and we went to Herman. I met with the doctor. This is very fuzzy to me because, I think you try to forget some of this stuff.
Right,
but
right.
when I got there, Richie parked the car and I went in and a doctor met me in a room and he just said, he has a lot of internal injuries and we're doing the best we can. And left me at that. He was in surgery. So we waited all night. There was, I don't know how many people at the hospital, tons. Finally, about maybe noon the next day, Richie goes to the nurse, or not the nurse, but she was working at the desk and says, what the hell's going on?
What's the update?
Yeah, what's the update? We have not heard a word since, probably 4 o'clock this morning. So not long after that, a doctor wanted to meet us in a private room, me and Richie, and they told us that, he wasn't going to make it, that he had too much brain damage. He was not, meeting the tests that are required. I don't even know.
What the criteria?
The criteria, yeah, whatever. Anyway, so, not the news any of us wanted to hear, but, and soon after that, we went in and told him our goodbyes, and, my beautiful young boy was gone.
Beautiful. Oh,
Yeah. So
shocking.
that's the story about that night. Really, the worst part of it was probably the next 5 years and trying to navigate that with 2 younger kids. Kennedy was 12 and Elliot was like 9, something like that. And just trying to get up out of bed and being a mom to them.
And it was Christmas.
It was Christmas.
Yeah.
We had to have Christmas 5 days later.
Yeah.
We went to church because I was like, I needed it.
Right.
Even though, I bawled through the whole thing, but I was
Right.
like, I have to do. and show my kids that I'm going to be, okay. I mean, believe me, don't get me wrong. For the first probably couple of years, I would get them up, get them ready for, do my mom thing, get them off to school, and I'd get back in bed. I don't know if I did it for 2 years. I probably did it for a year, though. A lot. Because it was almost like I couldn't pick my head up. But anyway, I did, eventually start getting up and doing my, normal thing, but I was faking it.
And I know this is like a weird question, but okay, so you get through the holidays, and when does it hit? Or does it hit immediately and you're just rowing that boat through it? Or
Oh, yeah.
You're in it, right?
What, especially at the beginning, what it feels like is someone is trying to drown you. They're just pushing your head underwater. Just keep pushing your head underwater. And you're just like gasping for air. That's the only analogy I can think of that I just felt like somebody was trying to drown me.
Yeah.
And
you're a mom to 2 young children that are grieving.
Yeah. And here's the other thing is not everybody knows this, but I've got a very good sense of humor.
Right.
So
absolutely.
it definitely dimmed my light.
Yeah.
For sure. I could still find humor in things, but it just, for 5 years, I was like, I'll be honest, I didn't know. There's some days where I was like, it'd just be easier if I wasn't here. But then immediately, Richie and Kennedy and Elliot's faces would flash in my head, and I'd go, oh, no, I've got to be here for them. I have to do this. So, which is a good thing. I can't imagine if you just don't have anybody. But, so then, I'll just tell you, I always say the first 5 years, it's always been hard.
Right.
But, I had a dream. He came to me in a dream at right about the 5 mark period, and I could feel him. He had the clothes on that, I still have the t-shirt, or my sister does, but he hugged me so tight. I could feel him, I could hear him, and it was like I was with him. And he just said, Mom, I love you, I miss you, and I'm okay. And when I woke up crying, I immediately texted my mom and my sisters. I was like, I think I'm going to be okay. And I told them about the dream.
Wow.
And it just gave me so much. I just woke up thinking, I think I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
He's telling me, Mom, move on.
Yeah. It's
And
okay to be okay.
It was a gift.
Yeah.
Because, it was okay to be okay. Because I think the guilt, part of it is guilt. Like, why am I happy? My son's,
Am I allowed to laugh?
am I allowed to do it? Yeah. I was trying to put it all into perspective, and, eventually I did. And, don't get me wrong. It's been 17 years. There are still days that are very hard.
Right.
But it's not all day.
Right.
It's like all of a sudden it'll just hit
like
you.
a whoosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a wave. And, I, don't get me wrong, you know this, I have a very happy life. I have very good kids. I have an excellent husband. I have a home. I have car. I have, I have everything I could possibly need.
Right.
And I just want, like I said, give hope to somebody that maybe he's feeling just hopeless. And there is another side to it. And, having my friends around and talking, and it's just cathartic. It helps.
Now, having your friends around, but were you allowing people to be around you during that time? Do you feel?
I kind of went, there'd be times where I wouldn't answer the phone, and those people that would be calling would call my husband at work and say, is she okay? Everybody was always worried about me.
Right.
Because I was so, I don't want to call it despondent. Is that a word?
I think so, yeah. Right.
I just
But it's
kind
despair,
of did.
right?
Well, yeah, and sometimes you don't want people to go, how are you? It's like, I don't want to hear that sometimes. At the time.
Because there's so much to say.
And it's like, do you really want to hear this again? Because all I do is think about it.
Sit down and I'll tell you. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's all I thought about. I was
Right.
consumed. And, I don't even know if Richie really knew how bad it was.
Okay, so you
Or
say,
at least the thoughts that went through my head,
and that's what I want to talk to you about.
Scary.
So you're consumed. what does that mean? Like, are you in your mind? Are you replaying that day? Are you doing things over? What is
I
that?
think a lot of it,
Or is it just
it's the
missing?
fact that he was gone. I felt like I was never going to see him again, of course, until I get to heaven.
Right.
Which, that's once I started like really focusing on that and not how he died or that he was gone. I was like, I'm going to see him
Okay.
again. It's going to be okay. I'm going to see him again.
Right.
I know it. This cannot be it.
Right. Right.
Because blah.
yeah.
This is it?
Yeah.
This
Just the
is-
light flicks out.
No.
Yeah.
You don't
no.
turn the lights off and the show's over. No.
Right.
There's got to be something more. So anyway, that gave me a lot of hope,
Okay.
But yeah. So that's, that part of the story.
Well, okay. So, not to like interrupt. Okay. So, what would be, you think, I don't even know if it's like just like tips or tricks, or what would be the advice that you would give someone that's going through it right now? What would you tell them?
Don't close yourself off. And when people offer help, accept it. Because you're struggling just to get up and take a shower,
Right.
And if somebody offers to do things, and there were so many people that did so much for me. And, I could never tell them thank you enough. And they know who they are. But
And a lot of people,
and counseling. We went to counseling.
that's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I took the kids immediately because of the way, not the way. I don't want anybody blamed for anything of the way my growing up was, because we were happy.
Right. It was a different time.
It was a
I always
different
think it was a
time,
different
and
time.
counseling wasn't a big deal. And if
People
I
were
would have had
private,
counseling,
too.
yeah. If I would have had counseling, it would have helped. But I don't even know if we had the means for that. We didn't
Right.
have a lot of money, and it would have helped. But I worked my way through it, though.
Right.
At first, like as a child, I didn't understand, so I would kind of blame God. I was like, "Oh, why would you do this to my family? This is horrible." Blah, blah,
Did y'all
blah.
go to the church a lot? Because y'all were Catholic,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So y'all would go to church. Was that helpful or
Not when I was a kid.
no? Okay.
I mean, no. I mean,
right.
Because
it wasn't what you needed, or you felt
no,
like you needed, maybe?
I think I really needed someone to talk with me through this.
Right.
But no, I lost my train of thought.
Well, I was just saying, like, just what would you tell someone who's going?
Oh, yeah.
through it? You know.
But if you can afford counseling or something, yes. I got the kids into it immediately. This place that we went to, Bo's Place here in Houston, did amazing things.
Yeah, I've heard great things.
Oh
about
my
that.
gosh. I mean, great things for the kids. And us, Richie and I went to separate with like the family, whatever. Like I would be with the moms, he would be with the dads. And it was good. It's just, there's no time limit on grief. That's one thing I've learned. There's no time limit. You can't tell anybody how to feel or how to do it.
Right.
Now, the only thing I would ever say to somebody is if I felt like they were harmful to themselves,
Right.
over drinking, using drugs, not functioning in the real world, I would try to encourage them, but I wouldn't tell them you're doing it wrong.
Well, but nobody, we're kind of like taught how to make our bed or how to scramble an egg or whatever,
Yeah.
but no one has taught us how to go through grief
Yeah.
and that it's okay to cry or to not get out of bed, but
Yeah.
also how to talk about it. I think there's a lot of shame in grief sometimes.
I think so too. And, our culture's a little bit different than like other countries where, there's just no right or wrong way. I don't even know how to explain it.
Y'all did something good though. I always thought was you honored Chase. Like every year you would have the golf tournament.
Yep.
And I think other cultures do that where they honor the dead
Yeah.
in a way. And I
Yeah.
think that's
Yeah, we did a scholarship in his honor, and we put, or helped, we didn't put him
Right.
through college, we helped,
college for
yes,
everybody.
college for everybody. We helped 3 kids.
That's awesome.
We only did it 3 years because by the end of the 3rd year, I was like, this is like putting on a wedding every year.
It's
I go,
exhausting, yeah.
I don't think I could do it anymore.
Right,
and people
right.
were trying to get me to do it. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm done. I did it in Kennedy, Chase, and Elliot's honor. Period. That's it.
Yeah.
The threes.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm done. But it did help these 3 kids, and they're all freaking thriving, which I'm so proud of.
That's awesome.
One's an attorney. One I think is a pastor,
Oh, wow.
and the other one I think she's getting her. Probably already has her master's degree because it's been a minute. But
Well, all right. Well,
yeah. So it well-deserved children.
Yeah,
mission accomplished. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I was very happy to hear that they all did so well, and we somewhat knew a couple of them, and then one we really didn't know at all, but she was referred by another one. But
That's really cool.
yeah. So we did good, I think.
And so you said kind of like at the 5-year mark, what, aside from the dream, was there anything else that like helped you during that time? Or was it you felt like you had just kind of like not done it all, I didn't mean like that, but you're ready.
I definitely think the dream helped, and I was already improving,
Right.
But I just think it was my invitation to go, hey, move on. I think that's what he was saying to me in the dream.
It's okay.
And I don't know if dreams are real.
Yeah.
There's a lot of weird things that have happened to me since he's
Right.
passed away. A lot of weird things. And I always go, that was Chase. That
Like
was
what?
Chase.
Give me one. What was it?
Well, I mean, immediately his favorite color was yellow, and we always said every time we saw a yellow butterfly, obviously,
Right.
it's Chase. So I'll just start. His half brother passed away, and the morning of his funeral, which I was speaking at, 2 yellow butterflies were flying down the street, and I'm like, that's so weird. We've had pictures fall off the walls. We've had lights go on, and you're like, I'm not touching that light. We've all witnessed it. We had, I can't even think.
You just feel it.
And then when my father-in-law, bless his heart, passed away that morning, I go out in the backyard, and a black and a yellow butterfly fly through the backyard. And when Richie's dad was a little boy, they called him Black. And I was like, they're together. That's what it makes me feel. And maybe it's not true. And people probably think I'm nuts, but I'm like, I don't care. It makes me feel good. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I remember when Richie was cleaning out something and he found a koozie that belonged to my mom.
Menchaca's, yeah.
Yeah. And so we were like, oh,
Had
that's
his
a
name on
sign.
it, yeah.
They're together.
Yeah, I still have it. It's downstairs. Yeah.
So cool.
But, I mean, that's just my experience with it. We're going to be talking to a lot of people, and a lot of people have been through it. I'm hoping to have a couple of experts that can give some really good recommendations on grief. I can only tell you from my experience.
Right.
And I'm no expert, but man, I probably could have a PhD.
Right. If there's or an Academy Award for dealing with stuff. Yeah.
Jeez. And I know there's a lot of people that have been right through more than me. Oh, well, I don't know this lady personally, but she lost her whole family
How'd that happen?
in a car accident.
Oh my gosh.
Her husband and I think her 3 kids, all of them.
Recently?
It's been a minute, yeah. And I would love to have her on here because she's now a speaker. She goes and speaks on it. I've heard wonderful things about her, and I really, really would love to get, because I don't know about that recovery would be, geez, I don't know. But
That's it.
this is supposed to be about hope, not
Right. Right. Absolutely.
So we'll try to touch on hopeful things, not how to worry about stuff.
Okay, so on here, like I'm looking on my.
We had to have a little wine to relax us.
we
This
need
is
it.
our first shot at this. We're trying to do it right. There might be some editing, but we're just trying to get
Lots
the
of
message
editing.
across. Lots of editing.
Slimming. Yeah. Fuzzy at my face. Okay, so one of the questions on here, and I thought this was good. It said, "What is your coping strategy?" Oh, sorry.
Coping strategy, I would say, is, okay, number one, and I've told you this, every morning, 3 to 5 things I'm grateful for.
Nice.
And whatever is stressing me goes away.
In the morning, no matter what.
Pretty much, especially if I wake up a little heavy or like, or something.
So you're laying in bed and that's when you do it?
Or I might be on the treadmill. I don't know. I mean, I'm just, if I feel like any kind of negativity, I start going, okay, this is what I'm grateful for. And I start naming, my family, God, my family, my friends, my home, my car. Not that my car's a big deal, but, I have one.
Yeah.
Especially living in Houston, when you see a lot of homeless people, you're like, oh, that's so sad. But then I'm immediately grateful for what I have and wish, the best for them,
That's a good.
Especially like last week when it was like super cold and I
Right.
see these people under 5 blankets and a sleeping bag.
Yeah.
It just made me want to bawl. But anyway, that's another
yeah.
thing. But yeah, I'm always trying to tell myself, every day what I'm grateful for. And there's a lot to be grateful for. I always have food on my table and, there's other people that don't. And that just helps.
Right. But that's a great strategy and it ends positively,
Yeah. And another thing my sister brought up to me a long time ago when I was just feeling, down and probably the first 5 years, she'd say, why don't you focus on how he lived and not how he died? And it helped a lot. And I would just think about, the funny, he was hilarious. The funny things.
Yes.
Thinking of Mike's friend.
Oh, yeah.
Clarence.
Clarence.
That was funny. Okay, we're not telling that story. But anyway, it was a funny story.